Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode on the Salon Owners Holistic Blueprint Podcast. I'm your hostess, Jacqueline Rodriguez, and today we have a very special guest, Cory Thompson. She opened the Red Oak Refillery in 2021, and she created a unique boutique partnership model of long-term refill stations that exist in local businesses to afford her the necessary time to grow her customer base and educate local communities on how the Refillery benefits people and our planet. So she's going to talk to us all about what this model looks like and how we can maybe implement something like this in our own salons. And then we're going to talk about what's the difference between a full Refillery or the station. Welcome to the Salon Owners Holistic Blueprint, your podcast for unlocking the secrets to a thriving salon business through holistic practices. I'm Jacqueline Rodriguez, your host. And join me each week as we explore wellness, sustainability, and business success. Everything from attracting conscious clients to adopting eco-friendly practices. We're going to cover it all to elevate your salon business.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Yes, I am super excited for our conversation. We connected through the Refillery, through the Refillery Collective and through Hannah and a few other fun things. So we've had some really great conversations, and I love what you've been able to create. Well, I love the Refillery model in general, and it's been such a big shift in the way that I think about retail in the salon. And in mine, my clients have been totally loving it. So I can't wait to dive into this conversation. Tell us a little bit more about you and, how you came about all of this.
Yes. Hi. So thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I love what you're doing as well. And I love the prospect of refilleries inside of salons, because obviously you're offering a lot of products for sale to people that they can use. And the more that we can reduce the waste of the single-use packaging, the better. And obviously that's what a refillery is pretty much all about. So I started the Refillery, like you said, in 2021, and I started as pop-ups. So I partnered with a couple different locations. I was outside for a fall for a few months, and then I was inside for the holidays in the winter time. And after doing that for a while, really the next logical step would be looking for a brick and mortar store. And that's what most refilleries end up doing. And I did. I saw a lot of different places, and I was doing a lot of thinking. And I took a week, and I went on a business trip with my business mentor, and I rethought the whole thing. And that's always my biggest number one piece of advice for a refillery owner or anyone who wants to do any kind of refilling, is to sit down and really think about what your needs are and what your family needs and what you feel like your community needs. Because I knew, for me, I have a history of anxiety and depression, and I have two children that are elementary, middle school aged, and I'm married. And I knew that with everything that I have going on, being in a brick and mortar store, which I knew I would have to do in the beginning, I wasn't going to have employees for 4, 5, 6 days a week, was definitely not going to be something that was going to work for me. So as much as I wanted to do that, because I really did want to have my own store, I just knew I had to be honest with myself and say, what I need to do is create a business model that's going to fit exactly what my needs are and what I can do and what I know is going to be good for me. And what are my wants in life, right? I knew I wanted peace of mind every day, and I wasn't about to do something that was going to add stress. And then the whole reason I wanted to do it was for that goal of peace of mind every day, so I could be here for my family and be present.
That's such an important piece. And I want to pause for a moment there, because I think that this is something I preach all the time, especially in the academy, of building out a business that you love, right? Because it's not just about what is the next logical step. You had the next logical step would be brick and mortar. A lot of people in the industry, for us, it's you work for somebody else, and then the next logical step is to own your own salon. but it doesn't always have to look like that, right? And taking the time to look deeper into what are your options? How can I think outside of the box? How is this going to work for me, my lifestyle, my family? And what do I actually want? I don't think that we actually take that time and think, what do I want? What do I want it to look like? Because it's just kind of our society norms of what is that next step. And we just go with it and then we suffer. And then everyone around us suffers. So I just think that that's such an important piece. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And I always make sure to point that out because of the fact that I've done it the other way. And it's not always even what I think, what you may think is the next logical step, but sometimes it's what you really want. I really want to have a store. I still really want to have a store. I want to have a brick and mortar, but it's really important to be honest with yourself to even go, okay, but what's really going to get me to my end goal? And what is that? What is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? I mean, if I think that probably for some people, like the why for me, definitely part of the why was making a difference for the planet and changing the community so things can be more sustainable. But the real main deep real reason is, like I said, peace of mind for me on a day-to-day basis, but also so I can be here for my kids. My kids are growing up. I want to be present and I want to be healthy so that I can raise them the way that I want, that they deserve, and also be present for my husband. We only get to live this life once. So, I don't want to sacrifice. And I have done that. I have already done that with businesses in the past. And I was like, no, not doing that again. So I'd learned from my own experiences on that piece of it. But I know I may not have listened or understood myself saying that back in the past until I experienced it myself. But I do try to share it just because if somebody is listening and they are willing to, take that into account and go, well, maybe I should think about that, then it can make a big difference. And it can skip a bunch of steps. And that's also part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing by sharing the Red Oak Refillery model, this boutique partnership model, because I want, other people to be able to utilize this to avoid pitfalls and issues that, they may have if they do want to have a store. I mean, this is also a very good mid-step before getting a brick and mortar. Build your customer base, get people used to using your products and get that solid customer base. And then you could do a brick and mortar if it fits, what you want to do. Or if you already have a brick and mortar refillery store, then maybe you want to expand without a second brick and mortar, have satellite locations. So I kind of wanted to put this model together so that it can be used. And it's actually been really fun talking to you because I never really thought about it. We thankfully here in Michigan, I do have a salon near me that does have a refillery. And so that's kind of how I was exposed to that idea. And knew that was a possibility. But after having talked to you and the prospect of being able to share this model so that potential like local refilleries may be able to partner with a salon and say, hey, like I can come in, and because the way that I do it with different locations I'm in as it is they may have other vendors inside that sell some similar products. So here's my line. You can choose what fits in your store. You don't have to, it's not a cookie cutter. Like you get the Red Oak Refillery, it's what what matches your aesthetics. Like, what do you want the furniture to be like? There's a lot of different things that I touch on with this model when I'm teaching it to other people and mentoring about it that you want, that you can apply. And especially in a salon, the products are going to be, your product needs are probably going to be different. And that's something that I actually wanted to ask you that I'm curious about. What products do you currently sell in your refillery? What products have you thought about that you would be interested in having?
Totally. Okay. So before I answer that, I want to preface this with, I've been refilling from my back bar, right? So we have products all on our back bar that we use, right? And for the past several years, I have been refilling the shampoos. In that sense, I've had a mini refillery, right? But then I didn't have the capacity. I didn't want to take it the next step further. only because I couldn't at the time, right? It was too much to think about. So I was doing that, and that was fantastic. I saw the need for our clients. Clients were loving being able to bring back their bottle, refill their shampoo, make a difference. It was great. So then I had always wanted to, expand on my product selection, but I didn't really know what that looked like. So after doing some research and looking at what did I actually want in the salon, my salon's a holistic, like everything in it is clean beauty, sustainable, and green beauty. So those values, non-negotiable for me, right? Mm-hmm. And if I look at a lot of refilleries, that is also their values. So it really aligned beautifully for me. But bringing on other products, I started to think like, okay, what would I want, right? And because we have this model of clean, holistic lifestyles and sustainability, then I can bring on all sorts of things. I started with the shampoo. I came up with a solution for our conditioner, because our conditioner was sold either in a tube or we just had jars of it. I can't buy big jars, right? So some salons have different products. That was what my selection was. So I came up with a solution for the conditioner. And then I started bringing on like hand wash that I love, that we use in the salon, lotion that we love and use in the salon. We brought on like sustainable shampoo and conditioner bars. So things that made sense for people to want to start using. Now, then I started to expand a little bit more, and we have natural deodorant. So I'm utilizing and bringing on products that I personally love, have used, stand behind, and it's easy for me then to talk about it and for people to, buy it, our clients, because we're already talking about these things. So for me, that was the big thing of like, well, what would I want to see? Because my space is limited, right? And each salon owner is going to be a little different. Like what's important to you and what kind of products, your clients, what kind of products do they want to see in your refillery? Like what's the easiest for them? So did I answer your question? I think I did.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. And I love your point about that you are using the products and the products so you can sell the products. And that's actually a really big piece of my model and my mentoring for teaching this model and the courses that I do. It's a big part of it is because the model is I'm not there. So it's up to that business owner. So whether it's a salon or whether it's a gift shop or whatever it is. So there's a piece where as a refillery owner, if I'm going to put this in, I want to spend time with your staff to train them and talk about and share the story. Because so for the Red Oak Refillery specifically, our 3 values as far as the products we choose are that they are the clean and sustainable. I mean, the sustainable is just the refillery side of it, but that they're clean, that they are, safe for the environment, but made locally. So everything at the Red Oak Refillery is made in Michigan, and they're all made by women. So I have a passion knowing, like through the Census Bureau, you can see that less than 10% of the businesses in the United States are owned by veterans, minorities, and women. And so given that, obviously there's a lot of room for growth in that area. And that's the reason why I want to support women. So the locations I'm in are owned by women. So where my stations are owned by women. All the products I sell are owned and made by women. So, I mean, some of them, it might be 51% and then their husband also, but technically, it's a woman that it's supporting. So those are the things that I use to decide what products I'm going to have in my refillery. But I got off track. I'm sorry. Where was I?
Okay.
I started. Where did I start with that?
The refiller, your Red
training,
Oak, the training of knowing your products.
The story. Yes. Okay. So the story, that's the story. That is the story. So that's why I brought that up. That's the story. It's saying to them, you know, Mama Suds, it's a 12-year business that's been in Michigan the whole time. She started it because she had her own children and wanted clean products for her children and started making them herself. And organically it grew from there. And it was her husband saying, let me make you a website. And she was like, no one's going to want to buy this stuff. But everybody did. Everybody wanted to buy it. So it's that story that then if the staff knows about it, then they buy in and they get it. So it's the same. If it's a salon owner, as long as the salon owner and the staff, they understand the story behind the products and you give them samples. That's another thing. Let them try some of the products so that as a refillery, right? If I want to propose putting a station into your location, here's some of the products, try them, use them. So you can tell people, this is why these are amazing. They work really well. They're, whatever the story is, that whole story, because there's obviously the amazing story that it's sustainable. It's a refillery. You don't have to you don't have to throw away a container every single time you need more shampoo. Right.
Yep.
But then that training piece is really important because you want somebody like you who's like, can tell the story, because then it sells itself, honestly.
Well, it's the same thing as, as a retailer with salons and having all sorts of different retail on our shelves. We know if we don't know the product and we're just selling it to sell it, it does not translate, right? And that's where we get that salesy, pitchy type of feel. In my academy, I teach how to share your journey, right? Because I truly believe in walking the walk and talking the talk, right? So if am I 100% clean and organic and everything at home and in the salon? No, I'm human and we're in 2024. Like, things are what they are. And the things that are the most important to me, what I put on my skin, what I use, and easy things like laundry detergent, hand soap, dish soap, lotion, our face products, our hair products, all of these things, we use so many on a daily basis. And the compound effect is dramatic when we look at the amount of stuff that is in, like, Dove, right? Or one of these other things. It's a simple switch. And I teach the students in the academy of like, okay, so what are you using on a daily basis at home? Like, if you're already clean at home, and how can you bring that in? And if you're not already, like, just go to the store. Next time you go to the store, look at the labels, choose something that's just a little bit better, and share that journey with your clients, share that journey with your staff, get them also bought in. But that's creating an entire culture in your space, right? Whether that's a salon or a refillery, when you have that culture and those values that are deeply rooted, the people love it, your staff will love it. You are able to, like, just be yourself. Like, that's what I love so much about being in the salon and opening the refillery and having these other products like deodorant. Like, what am I doing having deodorant? What am I doing? I've got laundry detergent coming.
It's skincare.
Exactly.
Laundry detergent is actually skincare too, to be frank, because I mean, I can't tell you how many people have turned to us because they're having skin issues and figuring out it's from their dryer sheets, or, they're using fabric softener. And I'm like, nope, you can just use dryer balls. So you think dryer balls, what does it have to do with a salon? But I mean, it really doesn't. It saves them energy. There's so many positives to these things that can help anybody.
And when you're in those values and you're living them and you're sharing your journey, your clients are bought in because that's what you talk about. Instead of having your traditional salon gossip or talking about what happened over the weekend, our salon culture is very much rooted in a holistic lifestyle and education around that. Like, how can I help my client just be aware of what's happening? So we have lots of conversations like that, where it is like, okay, this is what I actually use at home. This is what I brought into the salon for you. This is why it makes a big difference. Your skin is your largest organ. So much of what you put on your skin is absorbed into your blood. Like, this is the type of thing that your clients would love to know. And that education part of knowing what's in your products, knowing what the difference is, why it's so amazing to have a sustainable option instead of just throwing away or recycling over and over again. Those pieces will make a big difference in your client experience. So that's one of the things that I saw that was a huge change when I shifted from traditional model of just what we talked about, the culture in the salon, to a holistic viewpoint. The clients were coming in and asking tons of questions like, how do I recycle this? Well, here's my product. Like, is this safe? And, it's sometimes yes, sometimes no. Like, what do I do? What do I buy next? So I think having that piece of the education is crucial. And that is how you're going to be able to sell. That's how you're going to be able to have a thriving business, when we're talking about Refillery or we're talking about retail, right? Whether it is that you're refilling there or that it's just regular retail, if you don't know how to serve your clients and educate them on that, they can easily go out and buy it off of Amazon or buy it at the grocery store, right? And this is a complaint that I hear all salon owners talking about is retail is not selling. Like, people hate selling retail. They don't want to buy it, or it's too expensive, or they just come in. And I've seen on these Facebook groups of like, they've taken a picture and they're going to go buy it on Amazon, right? So having the education piece, the experience of your client when they're in the chair, that's the biggest pieces that will allow you to set yourself apart, and they're not going to want to go buy it on Amazon.
Yeah.
And then the Refillery, right?
Yeah.
This has been a huge game changer.
People feel really good about themselves when they can do something, even a small step like that. If somebody can just refill their shampoo or refill their conditioner instead of having to go buy it, even if it costs a little bit more than it would if they ordered it on Amazon, they're going to do it that way, because if that matters to them, that's going to be way more important than that little bit of the difference in the cost. And if it isn't that important to them yet, they come in as a new customer with your atmosphere that you have there, and that whole, the way that you're running your business like that, they're going to learn about it, and then it's going to matter. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. And this is one of the solutions that I've seen to a retail problem in a salon, because then you're creating loyal clients who are already coming back for a haircut. They're already coming back for their color. They get it refilled when they come back in. And what I've actually seen is then in between. So maybe your clients don't come back every 6 weeks or something, but in between, they're like, hey, I need a refill. So they come in, and you're creating a reason for them to come back to your salon and have that repeat experience.
Yeah. So you're talking about like creating a fantastic experience where people are coming in between. And I actually had a question for you to follow up on that. So do you have in place, or I guess it was a thought that would be a good idea potentially, but do you have in place to where obviously you probably send a reminder to someone before their upcoming appointment that maybe reminds them, if you have anything to refill, make sure you bring your containers? Do you have that in place?
So that is actually, in this current moment, I am revamping all of my onboarding for my clients, all of my email sequences. And that is one that is written out and right there, so that if they don't know about it already, they have questions. And then if they do know about it, then they're reminded, hey, bring in your bottles. Because I can't tell you how many times they come in and they're like, oh man, I forgot the bottles. They're sitting right on the counter or whatever.
Yeah.
So yes, I love that you brought that up, because it's a big, big part of the experience is before they even come into the salon, the onboarding of your clients and how you bring them through an experience before they walk through your doors. And then what are you doing in between, right? Because we also do a lot of education through emails, and we have a client hub where our regular clients have, it's a dashboard, almost like a Netflix, where they can go in and get new education and learn about new things. And maybe I found a great article on sustainability or something that relates to, our values. And I share that with our clients in this hub, which we are like this moment, it's kind of shut down at the moment. So we're revamping all of that, but it is that entire experience and another touch point of reminders that this is available and to ask about it, and then remind them to bring things in. Yeah, I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's been such a big change in how we actually do retail. And honestly, my stylist, again, we have a very deep culture in this. So obviously my stylists really have been very on board. Because here's one thing I was going to ask you is with the Refillery, so my model is we're refilling it. I don't have the clients refill. So we have it all set up. We weigh it and refill it for them because we're creating that experience, right? So with your boutique style, do you coach to or educate to like them refilling it in the shop, or do you teach them to teach the clients, or how does that work? Because I think I'd love to break down like what does it actually look like, so our creative friends here in the salon world can like get a visualization of what that process would look like.
Sure. Yeah. So I try to, first off, like I said, do the due diligence of making sure that the staff members and the owner of wherever the refillery is in understands how it works, how to do it. But we do have it set up so that there's pumps. There might be powder in a container that has scoops. And then we also have empty containers that are available that have been disinfected and cleaned and ready to use, that are just for us, they're free for people to use. And then the staff members are basically trained to do anything from let people completely do it on their own and bring it up to the counter when they're done, to come back and help guide them, or to do it for them if they're not comfortable doing it on their own. As far as people coming in and doing it on their own, there is, depending on the location, there may be like a chalkboard or some sort of signage that gives them a step-by-step that explains how to do it. We also put a QR code so you can open that up and watch a video. It takes you directly to a video on YouTube that is an actual somebody, that's me filling and explaining the process and step by step, showing exactly how to do it. And there's also more than one way, because when you're using a scale, you can weigh your container and write that down, and then fill it and weigh it and write that down and do the subtraction. Or you can put your container on there and tare it, then fill it and put it back on, and it basically does the subtraction for you on the scale. Amazing. So we kind of, in the video, we show how to do it using the tare button because it's very simple, but the scale's there. And then we also offer stickers, like labels. So it'll say body wash, and then it has a line. And so part of when you watch the video, the how-to video, it shows that point where after you've weighed it, then you pull out a sticker and you write the amount of ounces that the scale says, and you put that sticker on your container so that you know how much you have. And some people come in, I love the people come in with their own containers and it's ready to go, and they have like vinyl stickers that they can dry erase and just rewrite what the new amount is and stuff. It's so cool. So but yeah, so then we have stickers. We even have just blank labels, so they can just write it themselves what they're getting if they just want to do it that way. And then once they put that sticker on and close it up, they can just take it to the register. And then there's the aspect of a lot of the places that we're in don't have systems in place that offer something like this where you're weighing and you're paying by the ounce. So I've had to kind of walk through all that in my mind and also do like trial and error with some places. But what ends up being the easiest is they put in their system like the price for 1 ounce, and then they can just type in the amount of the ounces. And I usually like leave it up to their discretion if it's 0.25 or if it's 0.76 or if it's 0.5, which way they go, I give them my advice, but whichever way is fine. So, and I just make sure my pricing covers for that. If people are, getting 3.9 ounces and they're paying for 3, that I'm, it doesn't hurt us as a business, right? Like on the financial side of it. So, but yeah, so the experience for the customers really is, and it depends on the location. So in the 2 current locations that I have right now, one of them, the refill station is right next to the register, which is really nice. That's the preferred way, because then people can see, the staff can see when someone's curious, and they can, say, if you have any questions about that, let me know. This is a really cool thing we're doing with the refilling. And people usually are curious. And then the other location, it's actually on the other side of the wall from where the checkout is, because it's a very big store and there's lots of vendors, over 200 vendors inside. Wow. local vendors. So both of the places I'm in are really cool. I love them both. But that one, people have to work a little more independently, and it's a lot more of like this customer base that they come in, the same people are coming in all the time. Like I'm always referring new people there, and they're really great about sharing their experiences, the staff, about the Refillery. They do classes, so a lot of people are coming in. There's a lot of foot traffic there. So, but that one's a little, I think, probably more independent as far as people refilling. They're probably doing a little more on their own than at the other location. But I have never had, it's hard for me in some ways because I can't track a lot of things, right? I can't get feedback from customers because I don't get a list of who's actually purchased my products, because they're purchasing through the whole store, and it doesn't work like that, which is a drawback. But I offer that in the beginning to the locations, and I say, if it's really great for me to get any kind of feedback that I can. So if people are regularly having a particular issue with something, or if people are regularly really happy with something in particular, let me know. If you can let me know that stuff, that's really helpful, because since I'm not there, it's hard for me to, track those kinds of things. But we also keep a QR code that's for reviews. So to get Google reviews, and even our labels. So we do offer pre-filled products as well. So we offer in glass containers everything that we sell refillably. However, we did that for the first year, and now I'm no longer continuing to add to those. So those will sell out, because we reached a point where more than half of our sales were on the refill side. And so that was the whole goal in the beginning, right? It was like, we knew people were going to come in and have no idea what this is, what's going on, but they're like, I want to try this hand soap, and there's a nice pump bottle, glass hand soap bottle that's got a nice label and whatever. So I'm going to take that, and then they'll bring that back and start refilling. So we kind of did that for a little over a year, and now we're transitioning out of that. I have one location that has asked us to still be able to keep like one pre-filled of each item, just so people can kind of see something and maybe have a different option if they want to grab something, and that's fine with me. But the whole goal is to not be giving out more containers, right? Like,
yes.
So, but on our labels, on those containers, we have the QR code, so that people can watch that. It takes them to the YouTube video where they can watch how to do it. Because I feel like that's a lot of the intimidation piece of it for people. Like, that's been the 2 main challenges have been people understanding the concept and the change in their consumer habit. So like you had mentioned before, it's thinking way ahead. I mean, I have to bring containers with me when I'm going to go to this place. And a lot of, I mean, how many times do you find yourself out, oh, I got to stop here, because you see it and you're like, oh yeah. And so, or encouraging people to keep their containers in their car, Or, once you finish your container, it's empty, put it in your car and then it's there. So if you happen upon being there and it's convenient, then you have your container right there, because that's probably a big hurdle for most people, like you said. So any way that you can remind people and help people change that habit of being able to have their containers accessible before they are even thinking about coming to the store and filling. But then also the other piece is having empty containers there that are available for people to grab and use. And I mean, they have a spaghetti label on them. Yes, but and you don't have to do that. If you want to have a certain look for your aesthetic, for your salon, you can, clean those labels. It's a lot of work. I'm going to tell you, getting all those labels off and making sure, or even relabeling it with your own label. You can do that too. Just make sure you have the ingredients and whatever it is. But yeah, so offering that to people and accepting people's containers. So people can bring me back their own. If they have mason jars or they have, glass jars that they don't want, even plastic, that's fine. If it's going to get reused, that's better.
This episode is brought to you by the Holistic Salon Academy. At the Academy, you gain access to knowledge, tools, and a thriving community you need to excel in the clean, green, and sustainable beauty business. By joining the Holistic Salon Academy, you become a pioneer in a new era of beauty and wellness. See, and that is one of the parts, right? Because I didn't want to have to buy new bottles because, again, I'm trying to reduce the waste, not add more, right? Mm-hmm. Changing the way that they purchase is one thing, but then also having, I could never throw away any of our bottles. For 12 years of owning my salon and having a specific product that's in a beautiful glass bottle, like I literally could not throw them away. So in my basement had a wall of glass bottles. And I'm like, okay, I can't refill all of these because that's the size I get, like the big size of, 32 ounce or something like that, right? I'm like, what am I going to do with these? Guess what laundry detergent is perfect for? Guess what hand soap? Guess what all of these other things that I can't sell another shampoo in that size because that's the back bar size.
Right.
And I can use this. They're perfect for laundry detergents and things like that. So now I'm able to upcycle those bottles. All of my bottles for products like silks and serums and things like that, I clean these out, and this is perfect for hand lotion, perfect for shampoo. So they get to choose. And then if they've already bought this from us, they just come back in and refill this, right? So I have been able to recycle and upcycle things that normally we would have just given away, thrown away. I mean, for years I was on the Facebook market of like, hey, I have all these beautiful bottles, like somebody come pick them up. Now I don't have to say that anymore because we're upcycling them in the Refillery. And then we do have clients who have come in and they're like, well, I like this bottle or that bottle. And they're able to utilize whatever they already have. And you said something about plastics and glass. And, we are a very low waste and we don't use a lot of plastics in our salon. So it is either glass or aluminum. Glass or aluminum is what we typically try to use. Now, I was cleaning out the salon and I found these plastic jars that I had bought a bajillion years ago before I was like really into, not buying any more plastic and all of that. Half of me, I think I had like seen them over the years and I'm like, oh, I can't use plastic. I'm all about glass now. Like that doesn't feel right. And for me now, like with this new mindset, I'm like, no, I get to utilize these. And as long as they're bringing them back in, because we have a refill option, then that is not going to waste. It's not wasting my money that I purchased them with. It's not wasting in the environment going to the landfill. It's not going to the recycle that never gets recycled and just gets, discarded. So there's a lot of options out there. And I think if we just think a little differently And especially with a salon, because you're already going through tons of products that you're using on your back bar, right? So obviously things that you can't refill are going to be the tubes are not going to, you can't refill those, right? So just keeping a look at what you're using, cleaning those bottles and sanitizing them for your refillery. It's a nice circular way of looking at things. And then it might be a teeny tiny bit more work to take the label off. But again, you don't even have to. Slap another label on it. And I asked, like, I took a poll with my clients. I clean the label off because my aesthetic, I want that. They don't care. I wanted that. But I was going to go and make a bunch of labels with the different ones. And I asked and took a poll of like, do you need a label? They're like, no, that's good. So I'm not doing labels. I'm saving my step there. So you got to look at what do your clients actually want and what your aesthetic is and what you're willing to put in. But I promise the time that you do to take the labels off, to refill these things, it will pay back in dividends, not only because you have a higher profit margin when you're having the refill instead of each individual, but also the biggest thing is client retention and being that source for your clients to always think about you when they think about sustainability, when they're going to buy a product. I've had clients come in and be like, I was going to buy this, but I wanted to see, like, do you have a refill option for this? Yes, I do. Or no, I don't. But you know what? Thank you for the idea. And if you tell me what you want, I will make it happen. So
that's fantastic. So I have a question for you. I know you're doing refilling. I have a salon near me that offers refilling. Do you know how many salons, like percentage wise, out of all the salons? And I'm going to guess, we're not talking about major brand salons like your Aveda salon and your that, but like your small business owned local salons are offering refill?
I don't know the answer to that. I would love to know the answer to that. And that's, I don't know how we would.
Well, do you know many, like, do you know other people that are doing it?
Yes, because I'm in a community.
Right.
Right. So first part of that is that I speak to a lot of salon owners because I teach, right? I have a whole academy for salon owners to start switching over. So there's that part. I get to see them there, but also the green beauty community. So they're like-minded and they either don't know where to start, they've, just starting on their journey, or maybe they already have. So I do have, and actually that's a great idea to just run a poll there. Like, do you have a refillery or not? I'm just collecting information on what I can do to support as well. So that's how I've seen them. But when I go around my local, I mean, within 100-mile radius, I've never seen a salon around here have a refillery in it.
Yeah. There's this one that's by me. But so, that's leading me to the thought process of how do we promote and as a refillery owner with a salon, working together. I'm in a position as a refillery owner where it's unique what I'm doing by partnering with other places. And I have thought through the whole process and also done a trial and error with 8 different, locations over time to see what works and what doesn't work and what's the best way to go about it. But I'm coming at it from the perspective of I'm a refillery owner and I want other people to put refilleries inside their locations. But I'm also teaching. So, in June, we have our refillery collective retreat down in Florida, and I'll be teaching a whole workshop on 2 of these refilleries to even get them to start thinking about satellite locations and the station model of how would I approach. And to be quite honest, I don't know I know it's a great option and it's a good idea. And I know that I can help people know how to do it the best way that from what I've learned. But I don't know how many of them are motivated to do it. So like from the salon side of it,
Mhm.
if a salon owner is looking at this as, I want to have a refillery in my salon, but I don't know anything about it. I don't know if I have time, maybe I'm new to take on such a venture.
Mhm.
How exactly a salon can approach a refillery that's local to them
Mhm.
versus, because the way I have it set up is that I do as much as I can so that the place that I'm partnering with doesn't have to do as much. I try to make it as easy for them as possible, but I don't have a brick and mortar. So a lot of the refillery owners that I know who have brick and mortars are already overwhelmed. They're facing the challenges of any small business growing. But on top of that, this idea of a refillery and the sustainable vision that isn't necessarily understood depending on where you are in the country. It isn't, you know, even a thought. I can't tell you, even here where I'm at in Michigan, how many times still I explain to somebody what I do and they're like, wow, that's amazing. I've never even thought of something like that.
Yeah.
And there's a few of us here in Michigan. When I first started, there were 5 other refilleries, and I think we have like 17 different locations all in Michigan at this point. But there must be a mid ground, is what I'm thinking, like where a salon owner has that motivation and can, kind of figure out what it is that they can take on, how much of it they can take on versus what help a refillery can offer to them as far as,
Mhm.
whether it be how to get it set up, how to like maybe they're the ones in charge still of um, purchasing the product and keeping it all refilled for the salon. So the salon, it's kind of, mostly running on their own. So I have a location. I had a location that was inside of a small, it was right in a downtown, inside of a small, I'm going to say gift shop style place, but really cool, all holistic stuff, like all local art and things, very neat place. And their the price range of like the living costs for that area were lower, and another refillery came in probably 15 minutes away that was a brick and mortar who didn't have the same standards that I had as far as only selling stuff in Michigan, only selling. So they had a lot of other options and the prices were ranged a lot more. And they started having people coming in saying to them, I can get laundry soap way less expensive over at this place. And so it's not the same values though, but we had to sit down and have this conversation. Like, I don't want to, put a hardship on you all by you having to have these products. How about we work together and slowly transition? You can have your current vendors that are inside your location start refilling. So like if you've got somebody locally or a different product that you want to offer rather than this brand I offer, this person I partner with that's in Michigan, why don't we slowly transition and we did it, and it transitioned over to them. So now it's their refill station and it's not mine, and the Red Oak Refillery is not on it, but I assisted them to get to a point where they're running it on their own. And
Yeah.
so like completely, so like they're, making sure they're getting the wholesale products refilled and all those things. So I feel like even if a refillery doesn't have the capacity to necessarily put a whole station in and manage it
Mhm.
for a salon, they very likely will have a lot of knowledge and be willing to have a conversation and talk a salon owner through what they would need,
Yeah.
where they could get really good dispensers, where they can get, whatever the needs are. There's a whole list of variables that you'd want to look at, but they may say, I'd love to have a second location because financially, as it is for me, I do consignment partnerships. So I'm not paying rent. I have paid rent, but I learned quickly that that was not going to work for me. So, at least not now. There just aren't enough people that understand and are using it. Where it's the long game for us for refilleries, especially here in Michigan. So, um, so it's a consignment base. So as soon as something sells, so if for just in case anybody who's watching doesn't understand what that means, it just means that neither of us take a piece of the money until something's sold. So it doesn't cost me anything to be there at the store, except for the wholesale cost of the products, the cost of goods.
Yeah.
But it doesn't cost that location anything except for, that space that I'm taking up.
It's amazing.
So it's kind of like it evens it out. And then when something sells, they get a percentage and I get a percentage. And that's how it works out for me to be beneficial. So for a Refillery to put a satellite location into a salon, that would be another good source of income for them, especially if the salon is very motivated to share the story and all the things that we've been talking about, that it could greatly benefit both parties. If a salon wants to do it on their own and a Refillery is willing to help them out, that would be fantastic. And a Refillery owner to do that would be great for the whole cause, which is fantastic. They would then receive, right? The salon owner would then be getting all the profit for how they're doing it. They wouldn't have to give any percentage over to the Refillery. So a salon's going to make a little bit less off of that if they're going to partner with a Refillery to do it for them. So,
but I think there is a middle ground, right? Because like we're saying, if you don't know where to get started and you don't know if this, like you're interested, right? I don't foresee anybody listening to this and being like, oh, I'm not really interested, but let me, give it a try, right? So it's got to be connected with your values. If this is important to you, but you just don't know where to get started, there are a lot of different options that we've talked about here. And as a salon owner, right? Like I teach. So for me, I built all this out myself and a system around it. Now, if I would not have already been doing that, the route that I would have gone would be go to my local Refillery. I went in, I talked to her and I'm like, this is amazing. Like we're so excited to have one close because this was the first one close within 30 miles, right? So it's not like right here.
Right.
And we talked about that and she offered, we have stations where I will come in and I set it up for you, right? So there is that option. And I love how you mentioned the whole transition, because once the salon or any business is up and running and understands it and wants to, they see that it's going to work, then it is a very mutual beneficial thing to happen, right? Because then what happens there is then you can start refilling and having your own products and you know how the system works. But unless you're a huge location and you're going to offer everything, guess what ends up happening? You create a relationship with the Refilleries and then you tell your clients, this is what I offer, but I'm not going to offer 5 different types of lotions. I'm not going to offer 5 different types of hand soap, or whatever it is, right? Maybe you don't even offer hand soap. And then you talk to the Refillery and you create that relationship where you're sending people there and they're sending people to you. So again, it's mutually beneficial. It helps the planet, it helps the client, creates an experience, and then you're supporting local businesses that we're trying to do good. I mean, honestly, yes, having a small business is hard enough as it is. When you add in that layer of sustainability, clean beauty, it just adds on a whole nother layer that we have to battle through because people don't really understand what it's all about. Even with clean beauty and green beauty, they don't really know, right? All they're hearing is what they're hearing in the media, which is not accurate.
Yeah, which you never know. Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
Could be anything.
It could be, right? Because now it's such a big thing. You've got, Johnson & Johnson and all of these other companies where they're like green, non-toxic. Sorry, but I call BS, right?
Yeah, that's greenwashing at its finest.
Yeah. Let's look at the basis. So that educational piece, makes such a big difference, but also we're battling against different things. And all of that battling, having a small business, it is okay. And there are people out there, and that's why I do the podcast. That's why I created the academy, because you don't have to try to do it all alone. And it does not have to be hard. So having you here, seeing that there are options wherever you're at on your journey. Like if you're listening to this and you're a salon owner and you're like, all right, I want to start this. Number one, reach out to Cory, reach out to me, right? Because that's what we do. We want to support you. So if I know somebody in your area, I can help you. If Cory knows somebody in your area, or if you're not in Michigan, or, whatever the case may be, we can start opening up other avenues for you. And then also the education part. You have so much knowledge that can help them at least get started on their journey, even if they don't have a refillery next to them, right? Mm-hmm. Same with me. I mean, I created the systems for specifically a salon, right? Being able to start all of these things and then creating those relationships like we did. We created that relationship, and I can put you in touch with other people. So all that long-windedness is just like, it doesn't have to be hard. And there's a lot of different options. And this is a truly amazing business model that you got to tweak and think outside of the box. But really, anybody who's thinking holistic business, we're already thinking outside of the box. So it's not that far-fetched.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and circling back to the very beginning, all you have to do is sit down and say, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm able to do. This is what would benefit my family and my situation and my community. And this is how I can reach the community and reach that goal, whatever it is that you want, which is, for a lot of us, it's offering more sustainable options for people so that we can make a bigger difference overall. And doing that is basically just, like you said, reach out. Once you have your list and you can create your own thing. I mean, who would have ever thought 50 years ago that a salon was going to have a refillery inside of it? It's, that's the best way. You can do it just like Jacqueline said, you can do it any way that works best for you.
Yeah.
And it may take trial and error, but that's why there's people like us and other people out there that are doing it. And we want to share what we know and share, help other people succeed. So.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to say on that note is you don't have to do it perfectly. For years, all I did was refill shampoo. I did nothing else. I didn't have a refillery. I didn't have like everything set up. It was, and it was just from my back bar. So it's not like I had anything extra set up. It was literally just where I go to shampoo my client. I would take it, have a little funnel, pump it in, and I wouldn't even do it by ounce. Like, this is how, like, out of the box, I was thinking of just like, okay, bring in an empty bottle. This bottle is 8 ounces. And there you go. This is what it's a normal price. And then you just got a discount for being a refill. So that took care of like, the bottle and things like that. So there's so many ways to get started. It does not have to be perfect. Don't let perfectionism or the statement of, I don't know how to, stop you. Because just on that model of refilling those bottles that were empty from my back bar, I counted and I saved 305 bottles from going to the landfill without
That's
even
awesome.
Trying. Right now, game on. We're trying.
Yeah, right.
Things are so different now.
Yeah, you're so right. Just start with one thing. I mean, put one dispenser out that has shampoo, and then you just go from there. And something manageable. You can do that first. Like when I started, I only had Mama Suds products because I know her, I work with her. It was easy. It was an easy partnership. It was no carbon footprint because I was already going there, and I just did that. And then slowly over time, you add things on, just like you talked about. Things will grow. You take on what you can manage and what works. And yeah, it doesn't have to be hard. So it's awesome.
I love that. And I really could talk to you for hours because this is such a fascinating topic to me. And it is something I don't think in this industry we think about enough. And it really can make a huge difference in your salon, whether it is making more money, creating a better experience, giving your clients a special VIP experience. That is worth its weight in gold. That right there will change your clients' experience of your salon and their what's the word I'm looking for? Like dedication to you and your
their
business.
loyalty. Yeah.
Yes, loyalty. That's the word I was looking
Yep.
for.
Mhm.
So I really could just talk about this forever. So then I want to end on, where can we find you? Where can we get in touch with you so that anybody who's got some questions can reach out to you?
Yeah, so I would say thank you for having me, first of all, and for allowing me to offer this information for people. My email address is probably the best way to find me, and that is simply Cory at redoakrefillery.com. And my name is spelled Cory. You can see it down at the bottom of my screen there. That's my email address, but you can find me on Instagram. So my Facebook page at Red Oak Refillery is actually my business page for the Refillery, for my Refillery customers. However, my Instagram, which is also at Red Oak Refillery, is my kind of the mentoring side of my business. So that's more where I connect with other Refillery owners and other people who are interested in what my model is for my Refillery. So it's like a little bit different. So if you reach out to me on Instagram, but the best way definitely is by email. And yeah, our website is redoakrefillery.com. So you can go there and there's links to anything that you need and how to reach me. You can reach me through that too. So yeah, those are probably the best ways.
I love it. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. The business model that you have is really, really supporting businesses to think outside of the box. And that is how change happens. We just have to think a little differently and roll with the punches, right? There's so many things that are going on and there's so much change that we can make. So just think about the one little thing that you do, just one, right? Just like Cory said, take the one bottle, only refill that. I promise you that compound effect will make a big difference. I didn't think after all of those years, I never counted it, never even crossed my mind. And then all of a sudden I count it, and I'm sure I missed some too, right? But to sit and have a count of not even trying, of 305 bottles that I put where they're not going in the landfill or in the recycle, that's huge. So when you actually try and you're conscious about what, decisions you're making, you can make a really big compound effect. So, you can always reach me. Make sure you grab in the comments all of Cory's information and make sure that you download. I'm going to do a little special in here, and I am going to put my spreadsheet of how to break down all of the products per ounce so that you can have a spreadsheet that does it for you. Usually I only give this away in my academy, but I feel inspired to go ahead and give it away in the comments. So make sure you download that spreadsheet. It will save you tons. And let me tell you, I'm not a spreadsheet person. So it took me hours and days to get this together, but it's a great tool and I'd be happy to share it here. So thank you again, Cory. And I can't wait to have more of your inspiration here on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. It's been fantastic.
Thank you for joining today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed the training. And if you have any questions about anything I talked about in today's training, or honestly, anything I've talked about on this podcast, I want you to go to www.cleanbeautybiz.com/advisor. Or you can click the link in the show notes where you can ask me any questions you have about this episode or anything else that I have covered on this podcast. Again, that link is www.cleanbeautybiz.com. And this amazing little tool allows you to get your specific questions answered by me 24/7. Thank you for tuning in to the Salon Owners Holistic Blueprint. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow and subscribe. Until until next time, stay inspired, stay passionate, and keep thriving in the world of holistic beauty.